You're about to hear a story based on actual events.
There is a figure standing in the bathroom.
It comes through the wall into the home.
Oh, right. I can have water.
Ugh. Something about other people's water bottles that you can't see into that creeps me out.
Yeah, you don't know what I've put in there.
Well, yeah, it's just like, the unknown. It makes my brain taste the water. Gross. Anyway, we started, by the way.
I can get you water from downstairs.
It's too late.
You have a tea, drink your tea.
Don't tell me what to do.
Hello and welcome.
Hi. I didn't see you there. No, just kidding. I did see you there. I bloody press record. Welcome to the
Episode 4.
Fourth
Ep of the Chains of Mystery podcast with Israel Lewis and...
The suspense is killing me. Who's the other person? Just
Lewis
kidding.
Hamilton. You.
Yeah.
Yes.
Welcome to the 4th episode.
Thank you. It's nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
Very welcome. I'm in your house.
You are in my house.
But yeah, you are very welcome to have me here.
Yes, I am.
You're very welcome to cook me dinner whenever you like.
Perfect. And get you with a whoopee cushion?
Yes. What's that? 1 minute it took you to bring that up? Izzy got him with a whoopee cushion.
It was
The
quite
first time
anticlimactic.
Yeah, I feel bad on your behalf.
You didn't even realise.
No, I didn't. I thought it was the chair, mate. It's just like a squeaky chair noise.
Yeah. It took me so long today to figure out just how much to blow it up for it to make the ideal
put way
noise.
Too much effort.
I did.
Into it, but you were pretty happy with yourself regardless. you were going.
It's the first time I've ever got anyone with a whoopee cushion
in your life.
in my life.
Glad I could be a first.
Yeah.
It's actually might be not my first time ever sitting on a whoopee cushion, but I've probably only been got 3 times.
I don't think I've ever been got.
Well, that's all about to change. It'll be when you least expect it.
Yeah, perfect. Can't wait.
Yep. Anyway, yeah, I got by the whoopee cushion, so I'm hanging my head in shame a little bit. But
I was cry laughing.
it was funny. It was funny. I'll give you that.
It was a good time.
It was a good time.
Yeah. This week might be when we actually release an episode.
Potentially. Yes. Well, that won't mean anything
to the people listening to
because then they won't hear this for until another month.
But what if we fucked up in every other episode and we've got corrections that we have to address? And
there's going to be one episode where a lot come through, I guess. So, yeah.
Yeah.
We figure we better have a couple up the sleeve.
Well, you never know what could happen.
We're building up a good backlog.
Yes. Whilst trying to fine-tune all the other shit you've got to do.
Yeah, that's realistically, it's just because I am being, I wouldn't say lazy, but there's a lot to do.
You've got a full-time job. You're busy.
Yes, busy it'll be.
You got a bit on and you're away all weekend.
Yeah, I'm a busy man.
Do you even care about this podcast?
Yes. See, but I'm cool. I'm not going to put all my eggs in one basket. I got a lot of things to juggle.
Got a lot of baskets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got a lot of stocks to sell. A lot of business. Nope. I don't know. Got a lot of stuff in the pipeline.
Yeah. Perfect. This isn't top priority.
Well, yeah, I've got my Instagram influencing that I've got to do. I've got my all my entrepreneur. That is 5 to 6 little things I got going on the side. I can't tell you what, but I'll tell you about it. It's a lot of stuff.
Hair product
big
line.
Things oh yeah.
Gym
big
clothes,
time.
fitness clothes.
Rap career, all kinds of things.
Yeah. Yeah, bit on.
Yeah.
Bit on. A few plates spinning.
What about you? What's going on with your...
I've got exams next week, so I've just been studying.
How's that coming?
Yeah, not too bad.
You're studying 1 week out. That's pretty good.
Pardon?
Far cry from what I was doing at uni.
Yeah, I'm quite prepared. Fucking statistics are ruining my life.
It's pretty easy, isn't it?
To ruin my life or to do statistics?
Statistics, but I was being sarcastic. It's so hard. It's the worst kind of maths.
The worst.
I like maths, but statistics are a nightmare.
Absolute nightmare. I can't wait to be done. But I've just got this one more exam and then I won't have to think about statistics for at least until next year.
So are you done next week? What's
no, happening? Then it's just it's new trimester next. Right. And I've got a couple of weeks. So
you don't get the, some people are getting like 6 months holidays.
Yeah, no, I've got another trimester.
Unlucky.
I know. I've only got one subject though, so it's pretty much
that's a holiday. Yeah, one subject is a holiday.
Yeah, exactly. Apart from that, the owner of my house was over for the last couple of days doing some maintenance work, and I completely forgot that he was coming over and hopped in the shower yesterday morning, and there was like work that needed to be done in my bathroom. And he must have just like let himself in, and he just walked straight up the stairs and like opened my bathroom door, and I'm just standing there completely naked. It was very, very awkward.
Right. Okay. Were you in the shower? What's happening?
I was in the shower. Yeah.
How do you not hear that?
How does he not hear that?
How does he not hear that?
Well, I think it might be quite soundproof.
Right.
It was very funny, but he ended up being a lovely man.
Did you chat after that?
Yeah, we just spent 2 days together.
That kid did right then and there, or did you like?
Yeah, we had a good old 45-minute yarn while I was standing naked in the shower.
Right, okay.
No, it was quite awkward, and then like I got out of the shower and went downstairs, and then he made like a bit of a joke about it. Water under the bridge, you know?
It's good. You could easily not come back from that, and he could have spent the next 2 days not saying
really
anything.
Awkward.
Easily, for sure. That's probably what I would have done, for sure.
Yeah.
But good on him.
He was still like your average dad, you know? Such a dad. He like brought us light globes for the house and like grout cleaner.
He's wearing New Balance.
He's wearing
jeans.
Like sandals. You know, like dad sandals?
Yeah, I know dad sandals.
Dad sandals.
I got a pair.
Yeah, like his clothes were covered in paint.
Paint? Yeah, that's like
have you been painting? Prob's not.
No. I think they just do that straight away. They just Jackson Pollock their clothes when they get them, so they can't be seen wearing anything new ever. Yeah,
he was awesome.
Do you feel like dad clothes are never in between? They're either shining white sneakers or like 1,000 years old. I've never seen a dad wearing medium like averagely used medium used clothes.
No. Yeah, absolutely. They're either like riddled with holes or brand new.
Yeah.
I don't think my dad's ever bought anything brand new.
I've never seen my dad buy one new pair of like item of clothing.
Like he probably buys like a couple of pairs of undies each year, and that's him done.
Yeah, I don't know. My dad's undie buying habit.
Yeah. Last time I spoke to my dad, I called him on Father's Day, and I think he'd already had like a few beers. He was at the pub, and he was like, the other day, Julie, his partner, had to buy some new underpants. We were at the shops, and I noticed that she's buying underpants like my mother. And then he was like, can't believe we're at that age.
What, like she's buying the same style as his mother?
Yeah.
Damn. I wonder what's the age correlation with underwear? Do you just like get old and you're like, I feel like wearing granny panties, or is it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Stuff is not.
But also, I was only on the phone to him for like 10 minutes.
That's pretty early to be bringing up something like this.
Yeah. What else? Like that's literally the funniest thing that's happened in his life for the last 3 months.
That's a pretty big realization, though, because like the implication of that is pretty eye-opening. Where you're like, I'm at that age.
I'm at that age. We're old.
And what's the dude equivalent of that? What's a guy doing with it? Like, I'm pretty old. It's not like you go from wearing like sexy underwear to.
I feel like when you get to a certain age, you'll wear different undies, though, won't you? Like do you wear like
Yeah, like the
I don't know the proper terminology for men's underpants.
Well, I don't know what, like the boxer briefs?
Yeah, like the briefs?
Yeah.
No, boxer briefs.
But they're not boxers. They're like the underpants that
they're not like silky boxers.
Yeah, and they're also not the little briefs. They've got like a little bit of a leg, everything else is underpant.
Yeah.
Boy leg? No, that's what girls call. That's the girls' version of them.
I think they're called boxer briefs.
Yeah. Game changer boxer briefs.
But then at some stage in your life, I feel like you get to a point where you just wear briefs.
No, I don't know about that. I don't know why anybody is wearing briefs.
My dad wears briefs, 100%.
It blows my mind that they exist. Who's wearing them?
Old men.
I feel like once they invented boxer briefs should have just been like, all right, we had a pretty good run.
Yeah.
because they're just like inferior in every single way to boxer briefs.
I even have like a few pairs of men's boxer briefs because they're that comfortable.
So
You know,
comfortable.
Little pocket in the front.
Yeah.
You just put your hand in there, comfy.
Yeah, you don't have to tell me. I know. I know this.
They're super comfy.
They're great.
Yeah, awesome. So that's the update on underwear.
I'll keep you posted.
That's the
To be fair,
underwear
I
update.
haven't owned a pair of briefs in probably
Like briefs or boxer briefs?
briefs.
You wear
The
boxer
little
briefs.
little briefs.
Yeah.
In probably like 15 years. So maybe I'll buy a pair this week and I'll let you know
See
how I
how
go.
you go.
I think that I assume it'll be just as uncomfortable.
I
as
used to
last time.
date a guy who would wear them when he exercised. I remember the first time he was like, all right, I'm going to the gym or something.
Better pop on the old briefs.
And he like put on these horrible brief underpants. And I was like, ooh.
Maybe they were just like an old pair that he just like.
No. But then after that first initial time, it happened again.
Did he? Okay. Yeah.
I never queried. Maybe I should have.
Definitely.
I didn't want to offend him.
No, if he was going to get offended by that.
Why are you wearing those horrible underpants?
You'd have to say it like that, but I want to know what it is.
Yeah.
I'll buy a pair of briefs. You message that guy and ask him.
Okay, might be a bit weird.
I don't care.
All right.
It's worth it.
It is worth it. You're right. Anything else?
Not really. Anything else to report since in the last week? What's
We did go and see Crazy Rich Asians on Sunday.
we did.
Great film.
It's a really good movie.
I cried throughout pretty much the whole movie.
Were you crying the whole time?
Not the whole time. From the wedding onwards. Spoiler alert.
I don't think they were ever trying to hide the fact that there's a wedding in the movie. I didn't know what to expect of it. This is the year of no trailers for me. I'm trying to stay away from trailers
Are you?
so I can avoid it. Sometimes it's gotten the better of me and I'll watch one. I'm just like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to risk it all and go and see this movie. I have to check out the trailer.
I didn't watch a trailer for Crazy Rich Asians. I didn't exactly know what it was going to be about.
I wasn't expecting it. I had an idea that it would be a rom-com, but it's probably more heavy on the rom than it is the com.
Yeah, not a whole lot of comedy. I would say it's more drama.
Anyway, it was better than it needed to be. It could have just been trash, and they actually like gave it a
Yeah.
decent crack.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. Everyone
got-
in that movie is smoking hot.
Yeah, everybody.
Everybody.
It was crazy. Everybody that came on the screen was like,
Beautiful.
hadn't seen anything like it before.
Anyway, so I'm moving to Singapore.
Yes.
See you later.
Absolutely. Although, I mean, I don't know how many of those actors would actually be from Singapore.
Yeah, they all probably live in LA or something.
They did well about picking actors who hadn't really seen in other things before, which I really like.
Except that guy that was from The Hangover. I'm not sure of his name.
Oh.
You know the guy from
Ken
the...
Jeong.
Yeah.
Yes.
He was in
He's
it.
excellent.
Knew him.
And there's another guy who's in Silicon Valley, I think, as well.
Mm.
But other than that, relatively unknown cast.
Yeah. Anyway, great film.
Good movie.
Go
and
see it if you like a rom-com. I love a rom-com. Shall we?
Yes, let's get into it.
I think it's your turn to go first.
Well, I mean, we're not doing turns, but I will go first because I want to. Not
Okay,
because you
great.
tell me to.
Perfect.
All right, so I am doing the 300 million yen robbery.
Ooh.
I think that sounds kind of clumsy, but it's like it's the best name that I saw for this one.
300 million yen robbery.
Yes.
How much is that in...
Well, I'll get to that.
Real money.
You know how much I like doing currency conversions
do.
and inflation
I was going to put
calculations.
one in mine just for you.
I
and
probably
then
spent
I think
a more time than I should have on currency conversions and inflations
Yeah.
for this one, but it was worth it. Okay. So
That's what you spent doing all day yesterday.
Yeah, it didn't take just yesterday. I've been doing it all week.
Just the conversions.
Yep. The rest of the research is neither here nor there, but I really relish those
Perfect.
inflation calculations. Anyway, all right, I'll set the scene. It's Tokyo, December the 10th. This is also a big reason why I chose this one. Well, not a big reason. When
It's
I
your
saw it, I was
birthday.
happy. It's my birthday.
At your birthday.
Hit me. Okay, so Tokyo, December the 10th, 1968.
That's the year you were born as well.
Yeah, it's my birthday again. In my birth year. Year of the chicken. That's a guess. If that's right, I'm...
Well done.
Yeah. What is that, 12? 1 in 12, not bad.
Is there 12 animals of the Chinese thing?
Not sure.
Great.
We'll see. Okay, so I don't know what day it is. December the 10th, 1968. Anyway, it's pouring rain. The bank manager of the Nihon Trust Bank. I saw a few different names, and I wasn't sure if one of them was... I'm taking a long time to get to this. Either the English pronunciation of it, because I saw Nippon with 2 Ps, and then I saw Nihon as well. But anyway, the Nihon Trust Bank...
How's Neon spelled?
Nihon. Oh, I can probably preface everything by saying there's a lot of Japanese words that I'm going to butcher in this. So look forward to that.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll be fine with it.
Great.
Okay, so the bank manager of the Nihon Trust Bank is on edge. Somebody has been threatening his life and the life of his family over the last couple of months. 4 days prior, a letter, which was one of many, was sent to his house demanding 300 million yen, or his house is going to be blown up with dynamite.
300 yen, perfect.
Well, that's, yeah.
Got that.
300 million yen, which is a bit better than 300 yen. Yen is not worth as much as I thought it was. Like, so many yen is not so many dollars.
You're not telling me? You're keeping this
We'll
from
get
me?
there. Okay, so the letter that he gets sent, this is the last letter he gets sent to his house, is all written out of characters cut out of magazines.
Yes.
And pasted on paper.
Yes.
It's so satisfying.
And it would have been fun to do.
We've spotted it in the wild.
Craft.
Sure. If you were going to send any sort of letter as like a criminal, do the magazine cutouts. It's so effective.
Not only is it effective, it's fun.
Such a good story. And yeah, you got a little bit of criminal crafts.
Yeah. Perfect.
Okay, so he notifies the police and they're monitoring his home and keeping a lookout for his family, but I guess it's been happening for a couple of months. And the bank manager isn't like completely satisfied, and he tells his employees about it. So yeah, so he keeps going to work, but he is like a bit more reserved. So on one of the days that they have to do a drop, he sends 4 of his employees to take the money and do the drop for him. So they take a company car and they're driving to drop the bonuses for the Toshiba Fuchu factory off. See, I guess at the end of the year, they're dropping off all the employee bonuses. And so they're on their way and they hear police sirens approaching the car. So they pull over and stop. Police officer screeches to a halt in front of the car on a motorbike. He runs up to the car and then says to the guys in the car that the bank manager's house has been blown up and that they think the person who blew up the house has also rigged the car with explosives to go off. So they think he's gonna blow up the car with dynamite. So the officer gets them out of the car and he checks underneath the car, and then they see smoke and flames coming out from underneath the car, and the police officer tells them that there's dynamite strapped under the car and it's going to explode. So they run away.
Fuck, how lucky would you feel?
Yes. And so they're stopped outside, I think it's Fuchu City Prison. And so they all run behind, it's like big sort of compounds. They all run behind the walls and then they run and hide. The police officer stays there. After about 15 minutes, the smoke starts burning down the car. So they go back around to go and find the car and realize that it's gone. The police officer is gone.
What?
And he left his motorbike there. So they're really confused.
He took off with the money.
They go and find a phone and call the bank manager. They phone the bank and the manager answers. So obviously he's alive.
Did his house get blown up?
He's like, no, everything's fine. We're fine. The bank's fine. Nothing happened.
Fucking hell.
So they figure out, they obviously realize what's happened.
Did they see the car get blown up?
No, they just saw smoke and flames. And then the police officer was like, run away. So they go and hide behind the prison.
Go on, get out of here,
exactly.
guys.
I'll take this one for the team. Like, which police officer? We're doing that anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, so they obviously realize what's happened. This is the same perpetrator who's been sending all the letters to the bank manager over the last few months. He's disguised himself as a police officer. He'd gotten away.
Had he, or is he a police officer?
Well, he's up.
Okay.
He gets away with the bonuses, which total to around 300 million yen, which is the exact amount that he'd asked for in the letter. They found a bunch of items left on the ground near the motorbike and where the car was. One of the reports said 120 items and another one said 153.
The 153 one is so specific, it has to be correct.
Yeah, that's what I think as well. It might be 153 items or 120 pieces of evidence. Yeah, okay, so this is a lot of evidence for something like this and would normally...
So hang on. Evidence left by the police officer.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what it's usually like. 120 pieces of evidence seems like a lot, but he had just purposefully dumped a bunch of stuff there to mislead the investigators. And
had he stolen a police motorbike?
Well, we'll get to that as well.
I'll just let you tell the story.
No, ask questions. This is just for the first. I'm just setting it up. All these questions will be answered.
Great.
Okay, so again, so 1968, 50 years later, is it now? 50? Still unsolved. Greatest heist in Japanese history.
Wow.
And the genius part of it, there's no loss of life. Nobody gets injured. It's all carried out by one person, and he gets away with the money. So it's like the
probably
most
not one
incredible
person though.
heist. Well, but
probably like a bunch of people.
But the actual robbery was
doing it.
Taken by, and nobody got hurt. You know what I mean? Like that's pretty smart.
I'm so anxious to find out how much 300,000 yen is.
Okay, so this first part of research was, I'll take a little side by here. That was fine to get. That was easy. But that's like, out of all the English publications, that's about as far as they go. And so I was worried I wasn't going to have enough. Yeah, I was worried that I wasn't going to have enough to talk about. But I found a Japanese article that is very comprehensive, but was only in Japanese. So the rest of my research from here on out was done by a super dodgy Google translation of a Japanese article. Let me give you...
That is some good podcasting.
Thank you.
Well
and
done.
I was telling you, it's like the original one was super janky. Let me read to you some of how all of sentences were structured. It took me so long. Okay, I'll cut into the story here. Okay, it was stopped by a police officer who was pursuing behind on the North Side Road. A police officer who was a police officer found an explosive thing, and when the clerk went out of the car and evacuated, he took the driver's seat and ran away. In this way, 300 million yen was steadily deprived. What? This is 50 pages of this I went through.
You had your work cut out for you this week.
Yeah, it was a shocker. Okay, at 9:20, one cigarette approached the back of Fuchu prison and about 200 meters to the Fuchu factory. One white boy was approaching from behind. What? When a police officer moved around in front of the car, he raised his right hand and sent a stop signal. No, I'm not joking. There's 10 pages of that.
Did you reword it?
I tried, all right? So just give me some slack. If there are elements of this story that don't make any sense, I don't want to hear about it.
Yeah.
This is what I was going through.
Great.
So, somebody else make a better effort, and then you can...
That's a lot of effort that you
I know.
I'm impressed.
Right. Okay, so we'll run through the details. Okay, so it's Dave bonuses at Toshiba Food Factory. The 523 employees are expecting their bonuses and I think regular wages. So it's 294.34 million yen, which is... about $817,000 US dollars in 1968, which is approximately 5.9 US dollars in 2018 or 8.2 Australian dollars. So it's not bad. So the largest cash robbery in Japan prior to this was the Aomori Bank in Hirosaki, which was 1965, 31 million yen at the time, 86,000 US dollars, 620,000 US dollars modern day money, and 860,000 Australian dollars. Got them. Those are the two comprehensive ones. I didn't really go much.
How happy with yourself
that was the most
fun you've ever had,
for sure.
Yeah,
this is pretty interesting. There are two different routes that you can take from the factory. I mean, from the bank to the factory, and so there's like an A and a B route they would take when they're doing this drop, and they only decide which route they're going to take on the day. So I think it's like probably a safety precaution, or it might be like dependent on road conditions or whatever.
So this guy could have gone for the other one.
Yeah, exactly. So this is something that like that played into the investigation later on. It's like they think that the guy knew which route they were going to take, even though they just decided on the day which
obviously one. Needed that amount of money. If it's the same person that had been threatening the bank manager.
It's so
specific. So he must have known that's how much money that they had. It's someone that works at the bank.
The investigation is crazy. So like we'll get into that anyway, but the police, okay, so the police are first notified at like 9:31, and then they get a bunch of other calls from the staff at the prison and then people who were walking past, and then they first issued action by like 9:35. And it says in the report though that like a lot of the police like had a really slow response time, but it seemed really fast. I don't know whether Japanese police just have really high standards.
Like 4-minute response
yeah,
time?
But then there was other stuff as well. So they got the initial communication came at 9:35 from like the police headquarters that sent out to all of the police stations in the wards. But they kind of bungled that because they didn't have like the number plate of the vehicle that they were looking for. They had the wrong amount of money that was in the car. I think they said 90 million yen. Yeah, so it was like it was
like the bank didn't have that information.
Well, I know the police didn't have the right information because I didn't think that they weren't really sure of the details.
Yeah.
But they issued a description of the criminal is 18 to 25 years old, 165 to 167 centimeters tall, which is 5'4". Another tiny boy. Because the Rackman was a small guy as well.
Yeah. But in Japan, I would say that would be quite average.
Standard issue. He's wearing a white helmet and leather jacket.
So he wasn't even wearing cop uniform?
Kind of. He would have looked enough like a police officer. So the car that he stole was a Nissan Cedric, which I guess they're not making anymore.
I used to have a cat named Cedric.
Yeah, right. It all comes full circle.
It does.
And in the trunk of the car was 3 Duralumin boxes that were full of cash. And then so they issued this description and get all the police to do an emergency deployment through Tokyo. So this is why I'm finding it hard to believe that it's a slow response time. It's at 14 minutes after the robbery occurs, they issue an emergency deployment order. So, in addition, this is crazy as well. I can't believe they do this.
In hindsight, like obviously it's not a long amount of time, but when there's an emergency happening, 14 minutes is a long time.
But the scale is also pretty mind-blowing. 631 police cars, 9,500 officials, like police officers.
613.
And a siege network was laid with a total of 13,000 people, which included riot police.
Whoa. To try and find this one guy.
Yeah. That's a huge response.
That's massive.
That's crazy.
And for 1968?
Yeah. So, okay, this was out of the original. I couldn't leave this out. Incidentally, it was the largest scale emergency deployment by the Tokyo Metropolitan Police since the 1965 Boy Rifle Magic Incident. I think that might have been lost in translation, but also that's the most hilarious name for a crime I've ever heard.
Yeah, I dare say that's lost in translation.
Potentially. We'll see. I may do the Boy Rifle Magic Incident in a future episode. Okay, so all the major roads are blocked. Huge traffic jams, obviously, because the police were stopping and searching every vehicle. I guess they were paying attention more so to the Nissan Cedrics and light vans and trucks that were hauling stuff, because they obviously would have needed to cut the money somehow. 10:18 a.m., so like 40 minutes later, they found the car, but it was dumped at the Kokubunchi ruins.
Works quickly.
Yep. So they, after that, cancelled the search they stopped stopping traffic and searching cars, which, neither here nor there. But
yeah, you can't do it forever.
Yeah. But I think the last one, they didn't stop the search until like 4 o'clock that afternoon. So like they were stopping traffic in Tokyo for 6 hours. That seems insane.
Yeah.
I can't believe the size of the investigation is blowing my mind.
Insane.
It seems disproportionate. So one of the other bungles that they think that cause problems with the investigation is that the next day in the newspaper they published the number, I think the serial numbers of the 500 yen bills that had been stolen. So the criminal never used them because like he knows they're looking specifically for those. People would be keeping an eye out for those serial numbers.
Yeah, but how many people would actually be keeping an eye out for those serial numbers?
Yeah, well, I don't know.
Like if I work in a coffee shop, I'm not looking at the serial number of every 500 yen note.
How many 500 yen notes are you getting through at your coffee shop?
So many. We make a lot of coffee.
All right. Well, some people would be more honest than you actually. No, nobody's checking the serial numbers.
No.
I don't know. But they never spent them anyway. So maybe it was intelligent on their part because they kind of like ruled out some of the cash. Also, I guess if people found, I don't know.
People sit on money for ages and launder it through different shit. I don't know how the criminal world works.
Who knows? 1968 Tokyo.
But I guess if you're stealing that amount of cash, you're taking precautions not to get caught. If you're a pro.
Well, yeah, especially if you don't get caught for 50 years.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Yeah, good work.
The police, they're not doing a great job here. The police released a picture of a young man wearing a helmet 11 days after the incident. This is the one that you'll see if you Google anything about this, and it'll probably go up with the show notes as well. Because it's like the only picture of anybody in this case. But it turns out that the guy who was in the photo was just, he was arrested for illegal possession of firearms, a sword, and a helmet. Which, are you not allowed to have a helmet? I don't understand why you'd be arrested for that. And he died in a construction site accident 1.5 years before the robbery. So apparently the picture was used because it resembled a man who emerged as a suspect right after the case. This is based on eyewitness accounts.
Wow.
Keep a lookout for this man who died 18 months ago.
That's shocking.
It's not great police
Shocking
work.
police work. I don't want to police shame, but get together.
It says, okay, so in the article it said, oh yeah, the reliability of this picture was doubtful. Really? And it was officially abandoned in 1974. 6 years later. That's too long.
It was what?
It wasn't abandoned until 1974.
Wow, so that was up there like...
They were like, yeah, this kind of
keep an eye
looks
out for
like the
this
guy.
guy.
Like he's dead, but
Wowee.
what a joke. I can do better police work than that, definitely.
They've obviously got a lot of police officers. Surely
So
they can
many.
come up with something
I
better
was
than
gonna
that.
save this until the end, but I'll talk about it now because it's insane. So the investigation. Okay. The police investigation, they posted 780,000 pictures through Japan to like get awareness out about the guy.
The guy that wasn't him.
Well, I don't know if it was specifically that guy, but they were just posting like pictures about the case to get awareness about it. The list of suspects included 110,000 names.
Wow.
170,000 policemen participated in the investigation. It was the largest investigation in Japanese history, and it cost them 990 million yen.
Did you do the...
I didn't do the calculations on that one, but it's 3 times more than got robbed. Just leave it alone, and you would have come out like $1 billion yen ahead.
Yeah, that's very true.
You need to be more wise with your yen, Japanese police. That's a lot of yen.
That is a lot of yen.
Give me some of that yen.
Mm.
Oh, I'm all hyped up. I'm all hyped up about this bad investigation.
Yeah, that's a lot of...
But I think,
police.
so it was like sunk cost at a, well, who knows? This is me. I'm just guessing here. But I would think it would be sunk cost at some point. I think they were really confident they were going to solve it straight away because they were like, 120 pieces of evidence, give me a challenge.
I feel like nowadays that would have been solved straight away.
Well, and they also had 2 vehicles left behind by the guys. They had the police motorbike, and then they also had a Toyota Corolla, which I'll get to in a second,
right.
which was the second car they used after the Nissan Cedric. So, but okay, so the 120 pieces of evidence, 153, were kind of like a bunch of them were ruled out straight away because it was just like mass produced products the guy just dumped there, and like would have been impossible to narrow anything down by like but he's kind of smart because like it's like, oh, here's a bunch of evidence, try and guess which ones are relevant, which is like the opposite of what a lot of criminals do. Like, oh, don't leave any evidence.
Yeah.
I'm going to use a lot of pointers from this guy if I'm ever going to commit a crime like this. Okay, so there's 4 crime scenes, investigation sites that are relevant.
Crime scenes.
Yes, exactly. And I'll go through it and the evidence they found at each site. So the first one is at the prison. So they've got the they've got a bunch of weird stuff here. They've got they call it a burning smoke cylinder. Again, I think this is lost in translation. I'm pretty sure it was a flare. Burning smoke cylinder is pretty solid translation though. Like I knew what it was. So and that's the flare that
at
the police
the crime scene with the motorbike and shit.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So the flare is what the police officer used to make it look like that there was a fire under the car. So there's like a lot of smoke and like red flames.
This guy's smart.
Yeah. Yeah. And a Yamaha sports bike, that was a 350R1 in case anybody wants to look it up. It was stolen on November the 19th, so like a couple of weeks before, and it was painted white to look like a police bike.
Oh, wow.
But it wasn't actually a police bike. So they said in the article, the painting technique was of an amateur, which is like, throw some shade, dude. He tried his best. He got 300 mil. Doesn't matter how good of a painter he is. So, yeah, transistor megaphone and a red lamp were attached to the bike as well to make it look more legit. And there was also a magnet on the flare, which they think insinuates that he was going to attach the flare to the car, I guess. So it wouldn't arouse suspicion if there was like, oh, it's not flaming in case people were looking at him. But then I guess he ditched it when he realized that they had all run away.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they were really the only things that were relevant clues. Everything else was sort of just garbage. So the second site is the Kokabunji City ruins. Is where they found the car. It was with nothing.
The bank car.
Yeah, the Nissan Cedric, dumped at the ruins. The third site is the Fuji City Academy, which is like a high school, I guess. This is where a housewife spotted that motorbike down that side street there that morning at like 9 o'clock.
Oh,
so that was, I guess, the guy waiting for them. And then at 10 a.m. that morning, they spotted the green Corolla that they eventually found out was the car that he transitioned to after the Nissan Cedric. Police officer she saw the police officer sitting in that car at 10 a.m. So it must have been after he dumped the Cedric, he got the Corolla and was like chilling down that street.
Yeah.
I guess until he didn't have 5 stars on Grand Theft Auto anymore. And that car was stolen as well from a restaurant like a week or two earlier.
Yeah.
So both the vehicles they end up finding are both stolen. So it's like not really good evidence. Which they found the Corolla. This is the last site, I guess, or crime scene that was relevant to it. 4 months later, in April, the Corolla was found covered with a green sheet with the 3 empty Duralumin trunks in it. One of the trunks had a thumbprint. Well, it said, okay, again, I couldn't tell it was lost in translation. It said one of the Duralumin cases contained a thumb in the mud, which I assume was a thumbprint in mud on the trunk.
Yeah.
But if it would have been, like, if it's a thumb, I'm on board for it having a thumb in there. But I just think, exactly, that's it really, it sort of throws it. So I think there was a thumbprint on there, but I think that sort of came up empty as well because 1968.
DNA was not a thing.
What are you going to do with a thumbprint in 1968?
Yeah, not much.
You just put it on display. Like, we kind of know what the end of his thumb looks like, but unfortunately there's no technology to take that any further. Okay, so there's some eyewitness accounts. Again, they've got the housewife who saw the motorbike down that side street and then the Corolla down that road as well. They've got a bunch of eyewitnesses from the passers-by at the prison and then also some other people on the road. They've got someone at 9:30 who reported the criminal speeding down around the academy, and then some farmers and parents on a T-junction in the town said that they nearly collided with the Corolla on the road. Again, not much to go off there, but what are you going to do? Okay, so here is a portion of this is going to be interesting. Here's a portion of the research that I wanted to include, but I did not have time to translate into real English. So I'm just going to paraphrase from here, but it just goes through the 5 messages that the bank manager had gotten before. So you got like 5 phone calls and letters in the months leading up to the heist. Did the letters
cease to come after this incident?
Yeah.
Okay.
Guy got what he wanted.
Yeah.
So you got the phone call on April the 25th. So that's pretty good. That's like like 8 months before the heist. Kind of genius. He's playing the long game.
Yeah, this guy's
I don't think I've ever kept anything up for 8 months of my life. So, yeah, phoned him in April, that 8 months beforehand, and threatened the bank manager and said that he had hostages and asked them to bring 1.5 million yen. A bunch of staff and police went to where he said he was, and there was a white envelope with a map inside, with a route from Fuchu to Shinjuku, which is just like another place nearby, with another threat on the map, that further instructions and a cash delivery method. When they got to the location on the map, no one showed up. And there was a couple of other letters as well. There's one that he had sent like a month or so before, saying that they need to deliver 3 million yen to a public telephone box at a train station. And then he has hostages again. And then if he says if they don't bring the money, he's going to blow up the bank manager's house. And then 50 police officers went, nobody there. Part of me thinks that like maybe he was serious on those other ones when he saw the police he bailed, but maybe they were all just like red herrings, you know what I mean? So that when he got round to it, it would be like A Boy Who Cried Wolf with, I don't know, maybe I'm giving this guy too much credit, but part of me wants him to be like a genius. Which I think,
you have to be pretty clever to pull something like this off.
Yeah.
Like you have to have all your loose ends tied and make sure, even with like sending letters and shit, make sure that they can't be traced back to you. And you have to be confident in that, especially if you're sending these with the intention of doing something bigger down the line.
This is what really separates the men from the boys with these criminals. Like people who are desperate just wouldn't do something like this.
No.
You got to have a bit of time on your hands, you know what I mean? You got to have like 8 months to prep.
Yeah.
It's almost impressive. Like I hate to love this guy, but I'm kind of
He's like a real professional criminal.
Yeah.
Yeah. He knows what he's doing.
Not like all these other idiot criminals. Hear that, criminals? Be more like this guy.
Yeah. Take a leaf out of this guy's book.
How hard is it?
Is there theories of who it could be?
Yes. Yeah.
Great.
So, well, the police came up with a few things. They think, well, what you were saying earlier about that he works there. They said that he is a man who's been living in that district because he obviously has like a pretty intimate knowledge of the area, and has worked in car repair related work. So I think they got that because he stole the 2 cars, and I think the motorbike was stolen as well, which I guess you need some sort of expertise to be able to just like jack cars like that.
Or you're just a pro criminal.
Yeah. There's another good translation here. It said, since the remodeling technology was somewhat childish, it quickly expanded the scope of the investigation from automobile repair personnel to car mania. So I don't know what that means, but yeah, that's something that happened.
Wow, okay.
So yeah, since the criminal knew the date and the route of the cash transportation in advance, there was a theory that was the internal trust of the bank or Toshiba factory. Yeah. So it was all of the staff members were under investigation pretty much after that. Then I think they had another, had a big roundup of these 2 gangs, and they were like sure it was going to be one of those guys. And so they tried a helmet on every person that they rounded up, but it was like they were comparing it to the photo of the dead guy. So it's like, God. It's all irrelevant anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, so the suspects, we've got a 19-year-old, it says man, but it feels weird calling a 19-year-old a man. Oh, it's fine. Probably a man. If he's a hardened criminal like this, that must be called a man.
Yeah, I don't think a 19-year-old could pull this off.
But here's the thing. He was the son of a local motorcycle police officer. It's not damning evidence, but it's pretty good. And he died of potassium cyanide poisoning 5 days after the robbery.
Why is that relevant?
Well, because if he was in cahoots with somebody and then they just whacked him and stole the cash.
Right, gotcha.
Okay, so, but then it says that his father had purchased the pills, which is like, are you allowed to just buy cyanide? What's going on?
I don't know. Maybe in 1968.
What are you going to do with it? You'd be like, just got to get my top up of cyanide.
What is cyanide for?
You just murder yourself with it, I think.
Surely it has other uses.
Maybe.
Hey, let us know.
10 household uses for cyanide.
Yeah.
So yeah, the man had no alibi for the robbery, but they never found the money, and his death was ruled a suicide. And his father said he was innocent as well. So he was cleared of the charges, but who knows? Second suspect is a 26-year-old man who was arrested on an unrelated charge. And he matches he matched a composite sketch of the fake police officer, but he had an alibi. He was taking an exam at the time.
With the other guy, if you're committing a crime like this and you are as smart as this guy obviously is, you're making sure that there's some kind of alibi for you.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, it's pretty easy to fake that you are in an exam.
You're not sending letters for 8 months before this and not having an alibi on the day of.
Yeah.
You've definitely got like 3 kids in a trench coat taking an exam in your name or something.
Yeah, absolutely.
So then in 1998, there was a Japanese magazine that claimed they'd solved the crime. They said they found the thief, and he was 55 years old in 1998. And they had found him through the existence of a 500 yen note that this guy, so Yuji Ogata is his name, Yuji Ogata gave to a 10-year-old boy for good luck back in 1968. Ogata openly admitted that he was able to sneak the money past police roadblocks using a light truck transporting glass panes, and then fled to the opposite end of the country. So this guy's like claiming it, but everyone was like, no, you didn't. Because his wife said, okay, this is a quote, his wife called him a windbag who likes to make up stories. Just like, what a dog.
Windbag.
I know.
A windbag?
Yeah.
What's the Japanese word
and then
for
also
that?
he got called out, but his family member said that he was asking them for money just after the robbery happened. So like, damn, this guy's getting slam dunked on by everybody.
Yeah, everyone fucking hates him.
Like, they weren't even like, oh, maybe he did it. They were like, no, Yuji's a big piece of shit. He's a windbag and he's asking everybody for money.
What's a windbag?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like a liar, I guess.
Yeah.
So, the statute of limitations for criminal charges for the robbery occurred went past in 1975, and the liability for civil damages passed in 1988. So the robber, he could come forward now and have no repercussions. Like he could release a book, and then they can't do anything about it. They're like, as if you wouldn't. That's
as if you wouldn't.
Like you got away with it. What is he planning another? He might be planning another heist.
Ooh, maybe. Which
is pretty good. So the things that are left over, the 19-year-old guy. It's weird that he killed himself 5 days after he after
or
the
that
robbery.
His dad killed him.
Yeah, it could have been his dad. This Ogata guy, I'm not even really suspecting him, to be honest.
The old guy?
Yeah. He just sounds like an old windbag to me.
Well, that's the thing with crimes like this that go unsolved. There's always going to be some people that are like, I'm the person.
I kind of, it'd be pretty rough if he did do it and he's like, nope, statute of limitations, I'm cool, I did it. And then everybody was like, no, shut up. You didn't do it. He's like, no, it was me.
Your wife's like, doesn't even believe you.
Everyone hates this guy. Unless he was so good at
maybe
fooling everyone that everybody was like, no, he didn't do that. And then it would have been the perfect cover-up for him to ask his family for money afterwards. Damn, maybe he did do it.
Maybe
he played the game so well that his wife and family hated him enough to deny it. So yeah, that's the heist. Anybody who's worried about the people working at the factory, they paid the bonuses the next day.
Oh, thank God!
It was covered by insurance.
Yeah, that's good.
So everybody got what they wanted, really.
Did they?
Except for the police.
Yeah, the police.
But they did such a bad job. I'm not really bothered.
Fuck him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want him to just come forward. Just if you're listening, let us know.
Probably listening. Probably speaks perfect English. Definitely get in touch with us.
Yeah. chainsofmystery@gmail.com.
Or slide into our DMs on Instagram.
Yeah. Chains Mystery Podcast is our handle.
That's us.
And
should
we take a break so that I can let my cat in?
Yeah, Puss sounds pretty distressed out there.
We're back.
We're back.
We're back.
How's your break?
Yeah, it was good. I went to the bathroom.
Did you get a new jumper?
I put a cardigan on because I'm a bit cold.
Nice.
How's your tea?
Yeah, it's good. It's perfect temp. It was cold. I popped in the microwave. 20 seconds. The cup felt so cold. Thought I was going to get...
Iced tea?
Yeah, iced tea. Perfect temp. Optimum drinking temp.
I worked with a girl who was like, I want to make an invention that like it tells you when the tea is at the right temperature to drink, which I think is genius.
Yeah, big time. But I think it's got to be like a thermometer or something, because the outside of the cup is often deceptive. If you're coming from hot down, the cup feels too hot, I think, when it's the right temperature. If you're coming out of the microwave, the cup feels way too cold. I was about to... just
had like a little flag that popped out of your tea and told you when it was ready.
Yeah, okay.
And it said like, enjoy your tea.
I'm all for the tea that's the right temp. I don't know about flags.
All right. A girl can dream. Anyway, getting a tea at the optimum drinking temperature is like, it's like a big warm hug.
Yeah, it's little things, you know what I mean? Like, it's one of those moments where it's like, this means a lot.
It's not just a cup of tea. So much more than that. Okay, so my mystery this week is that of the disappearance of the Sodder children.
The what children?
Sodder. That's the family name.
Right, okay.
Do you know this one?
No, I don't.
Cool, let me tell you about it.
I was having a look at some disappearances, actually. There's some very interesting...
Some good disappearances.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, so it's Christmas Eve. It's 1945. The Sodder family are celebrating at home, just doing Christmas Eve stuff.
Yeah.
I think, opening a couple of presents here and there, drinking eggnog.
Sure.
That sort of thing. So the Sodder family consists of George and Jenny, so that's mum and dad, and then Joe is the eldest son, but he was serving in the US military at the time, so he was not at home. And then there's John, Marion, George Jr., Maurice, Martha, Louis, Jenny, Betty, and Sylvia.
What?
So
it's too many.
10 children all up.
Yeah, I was really impressed for a minute there, because all of the names were like pretty good, normal names, like not 1945.
No.
And then you hit me with like a Maurice. And Marianne, Sylvia,
Martha, and there's Sylvia.
A bunch of old timey ones down the bottom.
Louis, but spelt different.
Lou.
Yeah,
that's the one that everybody goes for the first time.
Is it?
Yeah, I think so.
As a last name, people don't go for Lou very often.
Yeah.
But if I'm spelling my last name, I always say Lewis. Like I offer it up. Anyway. So everyone had gone to bed. And at 12:30 a.m., Jenny, the mum, woke to the phone ringing. She went downstairs to answer it and spoke briefly to a woman whose voice she didn't recognize. She said the woman asked for a name she was not familiar with, and Jenny said she could hear the sound of laughter and clinking glasses in the background. She told the caller she had reached a wrong number, and she later recalled the woman's strange laugh. She hung up and returned to bed. As she did, she noticed that the lights were still on and the curtains were not drawn, two things the children normally attended to when they stayed up later than their parents. Marion had fallen asleep on the living room couch, so Jenny assumed the other children who had stayed up later had gone back up to the attic where they slept. She closed the curtains, turned out the lights, and returned to bed.
There's no illusion that we're not in the old times now.
Because they're sleeping in the attic.
There's a bunch of stuff in there for sure. Drawing curtains and shit like this. You live in a museum.
Yeah, I pulled that. That's not my wording.
I just mean even now though. Nobody's drawing curtains.
No, very true.
And sleeping in the attic.
Well, if you've got a million children, they're like sleeping on top of each other.
Just put them in the roof.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
All right, so fast forward to 1 a.m. and Jenny woke up again to the sound of an object hitting the house's roof with a loud bang, followed by a rolling noise. After hearing nothing further, she went back to sleep. After another half hour, she woke up again and could smell smoke. She noticed that the room George used as an office was on fire, which is also the room that housed the telephone line and the fuse box. She woke George up, and he, in turn, woke up his older sons. Both parents and 4 of their children, Marion, Sylvia, John, and George Jr., escaped the house. They frantically yelled to the children upstairs but heard no response. They could not go up there as the stairway itself was already aflame.
Rough.
So rough.
Only back then could you have like a house, all the kids are sleeping in the roof and the dad's like, no, I still need an office.
Yeah, totally. I didn't think of that. Where am I going to do my work,
the kids
Jenny?
are like, see they come into the house for the first time. They're like, oh, so many bedrooms. And he's like, have you heard of the roof before? I'm putting my typewriter in here.
I didn't think of that. So efforts to find, aid, and rescue the children were quite complicated. The phone wasn't working, so Marion, which I'm probably pronouncing her name wrong. Marion?
How's it spelled?
Marion. Marion?
I-O-N? What country is this?
US. Marion? Anyway.
I like Marion.
So Marion, ran to the neighbours to call the fire department but couldn't reach the operator. And a driver on the nearby road had also seen the flames and called the fire department from a nearby tavern, but also couldn't reach the operator. George climbed the wall and broke open an attic window, cutting his arm in the process. He and his sons intended to use a ladder to rescue the other children, but it was not in its usual spot, resting against the house, and could not be found anywhere nearby. George then tried to pull both of the trucks he used in his business up to the house and used them to climb to the attic window, but neither of them would start, despite having worked perfectly the previous day. The 6 sodders who had escaped had no choice but to watch the house burn down and collapse over the next 45 minutes. They assumed the other 5 children had perished in the blaze.
45 minutes? That's quite a long time.
Is that for a house fire?
Yeah, I think so. I was reading somewhere that modern houses will burn down in like 17 minutes or something like that.
Really?
Yeah. Just packing
Wow,
they make them out of fire nowadays. George Sr. would have been so distressed because he would have been like, I've got 2 great plans. Don't even worry about this.
Yeah.
Hit him with the ladder. Whoop,
Nope.
not there. Don't even worry about it. I got 2 trucks, baby. Neither
Nope.
of them.
Yeah. Fuck, it would be so distressing knowing 5 of your children are inside.
Yeah, it's less than ideal.
Absolutely.
But also he had too many kids. He probably was like, whew,
Yeah.
a lot of shoes. A lot of shoes you'd have to buy.
We've just cut out spending in
Cost
half.
in half, yeah.
So the fire department, low on manpower due to the war and relying on individual firefighters to call each other, did not respond until 8 a.m. that morning.
Oh, the 1945 sounds like a nightmare.
Nightmare, absolute nightmare. Women couldn't wear stockings.
What did they? Was that the fire station?
Yeah.
They're just like, doesn't work. Like, I guess.
What do you
We'll
mean?
call each other when we get around to it.
Yeah.
That's no point having a fire station. That's just a bunch of people who are
I
semi-interested
think they were like
in fires.
volunteers. So Chief F.J. Morris said the next day that the already slow response was further hampered by his inability to drive the fire truck, which meant he had to
Please
wait
tell
for
me
someone.
He's drunk. Is he drunk?
He was, I don't know.
Well, he couldn't drive.
I don't think he's the fucking chief
you
of the fire
cannot
department.
be the chief of the fire department if you can't drive the fire truck.
Put someone else in charge.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Put a baby in charge if they can drive the fire truck.
Yeah. Ridiculous. So the firefighters, one of whom was the brother of Jenny, the mother, could do little but look through the ashes that were left in the Sodders' basement. By 10 a.m., Morris told the Sodders that they had not found any bones, as might have been expected if the other children had been in the house as it burned. According to another account, they did find a few bone fragments and internal organs, but chose not to tell the family. It has also been noted by modern fire professionals that their search was cursory at best. Nevertheless, Morris believed that the 5 children unaccounted for had died in the fire, suggesting it had been hot enough to burn their bodies completely, including their bones. So death certificates for the 5 children were issued on December 30th, and a funeral service was held on January 2nd. So that's the incident. So let me tell you a little bit about George Sodder. Papa Sodder.
The big dog.
Big dog. He was born in Italy in 1895. He immigrated to the United States at 13 years old with an older brother who went back to Italy pretty much immediately after arriving in the US, leaving young George on his own at 13 in a foreign country.
How old was his older brother, I wonder? Bit of a dog move for him, just be
Such a dog
I'm
move.
out.
So George found work as a supply carrier for railroad workers, then as a driver, and finally as the proprietor of his own trucking company. He eventually married Jenny, another Italian immigrant, and they settled in Fayetteville, West Virginia, which had a large population of Italian immigrants. George's trucking business prospered, and in the words of one local official, they became one of the most respected middle-class families around. Good on him for fucking getting it done.
Real rags to riches, old George.
Yeah, I mean, they're middle class. I wouldn't say riches.
Well, middle class is pretty good. Who are you? He's got his successful small business. How many trucks do you own?
10?
10 trucks. That's better than George. Better than I expected.
Yeah.
But still, I think George did pretty well for himself.
Yeah. So they're quite a well-respected family. However, George had strong opinions about many subjects and was not shy about expressing them, sometimes alienating people. So in particular was his strident opposition to Italian dictator Benito Mussolini. And this had led to strong arguments with other members of the immigrant community. So a couple of months before the fire, a man had visited the Sodder home trying to sell life insurance. George had told the man that they were uninterested, and he also said something that criticised Mussolini, who had been deposed and executed the year before. The salesman responded by telling George that his house was going to burn and his children would be destroyed.
That is oddly specific. Keep your threats vague.
Another visitor to the house took the occasion to go around to the back and warn George that a pair of fuse boxes would cause a fire someday. George was puzzled by the observation, since he had just had the house rewired when an electric stove was installed, and the local electric company had said afterwards that it was safe. The local coroner convened an inquest and concluded that the fire had been caused by faulty wiring. Among the jurors was none other than the man who had threatened George at home. So
wait, you can't do that. You can't have somebody who threatens to kill the guy on the jury.
Yeah, but I think it all came out later. I mean, I'm sure it probably worked a little bit differently in 1945 as well.
Right.
I would imagine. So not long after, the Sodders began to rebuild their lives, and they started to question all the official findings about the fire. They wondered why, if it had been caused by an electrical problem, the family's Christmas lights had remained on throughout the fire's early stages, when the power should have gone out. And then they found the ladder that had been missing at the bottom of an embankment nearby. So it had obviously been moved. And a telephone repairman told the Sodders that the house's phone line had not been burned in the fire, as they had initially thought, but it had been cut. A man who neighbours had seen stealing from the property around the time of the fire was identified and arrested. He admitted to the theft and claimed he had been the one who cut the phone line, thinking it was a power line, but denied having anything to do with the fire. But no record identifying him exists. And there's no explanation to why he would have cut the phone line or a utility line if he was just robbing the house.
Wait, so these people were getting robbed at the same time that the house was getting burned down. That is a shocker.
I imagine like any country around the time of World War II would have been a lawless place. Everywhere was mayhem, I imagine. In my head, everyone's wearing fabulous dresses, but everything's just chaotically wrong.
Yeah, no, I agree. Everyone looks good, but...
Yeah, and men are like super dapper, but stealing...
Also robbing houses while they're on fire. Stealing children while the house is on fire.
Yeah.
But they looked good.
They looked great. Like perfect finger curls in their hair. So the Sodders obviously had trouble accepting the belief that all traces of the children's bodies had been burned. especially because a lot of the household appliances had been found still recognizable and intact. Jenny contrasted the results of the fire with a newspaper account of a similar house fire that she read around the same time that killed a family of 7. Skeletal remains of all the victims were reported to have been found in that case. Jenny burned small piles of animal bones to see if they would be completely consumed, and none ever were. She contacted an employee of a local crematorium, and he told her that human bones remain even after bodies are burned at 1,000 degrees Celsius for 2 hours.
And then she was like, what's Celsius? Doesn't make any sense. But yeah, Jenny's putting in work.
Yeah. Oh, you would too if you lost 5 of your children. Maybe.
Watch this.
But the sort of house had only been on fire for 45 minutes.
Yeah, it's not long enough.
Not long enough. So the truck's failure to start was also considered. George believed that they had been tampered with, perhaps by the same man who cut the phone line. However, one of his sons-in-law told the Charleston Gazette-Mail in 2013 that he had come to believe that Sodder and his sons might have, in their haste to start the trucks, flooded the engines.
2013. This is a specific detail to be offering up 60 years later.
Yeah, that's very true. Well, I pulled that straight from Wikipedia.
Yeah, no, that's. I mean, I don't doubt it.
But it does seem like
it's a long time.
It's a long time, especially the son-in-law. Like, he'd be old as fuck.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, not the great-great-grandchild or something that wouldn't have been there. But so some accounts have suggested the wrong number phone call to the Sodder house might have also somehow been connected to the fire and the disappearance of the children. But investigators located the woman who had made the call, and she confirmed it had been a wrong number on her part.
She just decided to laugh on the other end for a while.
Yeah.
Laugh manically.
Glasses and shit. So she was probably fucking drunk. It was Christmas Eve. Just having a good time. Yeah. So there was evidence that supported the belief that the fire had not started in the electrical system and was instead set deliberately. The driver of a bus that passed through Fayetteville late Christmas Eve said he had seen some people throwing balls of fire at the house. That'll do it. A few months later, when the snow had melted, Sylvia, one of the children, found a small, hard, dark green rubber ball-like object in a bush nearby. George, recalling his wife's account of a loud thump on the roof before the fire, said it looked like a pineapple bomb hand grenade or some other incendiary device used in combat. The family later claimed that, contrary to the fire marshal's conclusion, the fire had started on the roof, although there was by then no way to prove it.
Yeah, I'm not inclined to believe the fire marshal either. Old mate could not drive a fire truck.
Fire truck.
Yeah, if he says that it didn't start on the roof, there's a pretty good chance it started on the roof.
Yeah. Yeah, he seems a bit ridiculous, to be quite honest. He does a few other weird things that we'll get to. So some witnesses claim to have seen the children. So one woman who had been watching the fire from the road said she had seen some of them peering out of a passing car while the house was burning. Another woman at a rest stop between Fayetteville and Charleston said she had served them breakfast the next morning and noted the presence of a car with Florida license plates in the rest stop's parking lot. The Sodders hired a private investigator named C.C. Tinsley to look into the case.
Yes. C.C. Tinsley?
Such an old-timey name.
Well, not only old-timey, but old-timey private investigator.
Oh, absolutely.
If it was 1945 and I called a private investigator and he said, I don't know, I really want to do an old-timey private investigator accent, but and he said his name was C.C. Tinsley? Tinsley. I'll be like, you are the man for the job. Guaranteed this guy smokes a pipe.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah. So he had heard of rumours around Fayetteville that despite his report to the Sodders that no remains had been found in the ashes, Morris had found a heart, which he later packed into a metal box and secretly buried.
Is this the fire marshal again?
Yeah.
This guy's an idiot.
He apparently
This guy should get a job at with the Japanese police.
He apparently confessed this to a local minister who confirmed it to George Sodder. Sodder and Tinsley went to Morris and confronted him with this news. He agreed to show the two where he had buried it and then dug it up. They took what they found inside the box to a local funeral director who, after examining it, told them it was, in reality, very fresh beef liver that had never been exposed to fire. Later, more rumours circulated around Fayetteville that Morris had afterwards admitted the box with the liver had indeed not come from the fire originally. He had supposedly placed it there in the hope that the Sodders would find it and be satisfied that the missing children had indeed died in the fire. I'm sorry, but you can't do that.
Yeah, you don't die and then go...
And then your heart just jumps into a metal box.
Yeah, it's
bizarre.
Does that really work there? Is he just like a...
Maybe he was a drunk. Maybe that's why he couldn't drive.
Surely.
But in 1945, you'd fucking get in that truck, you'd put the lights on.
Give it a crack, for
you'd
sure.
Hang out the window with a ciggy in your mouth. Having a good old time. It's Christmas Eve.
Heart in a box?
Yeah.
Damn it. I hate this guy.
I hate him too.
He's like the opposite of C.C. Tinsley.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's C.F. Morris or some bullshit.
Yeah.
George had tried to interest the FBI investigating what he considered a kidnapping. Director J. Edgar Hoover personally responded to his letters, saying, "Although I would like to be of service, the matter related appears to be of local character and does not come within the investigative jurisdiction of this bureau." If the local authorities requested the Bureau's assistance, he added, he would of course direct agents to assist, but the Fayetteville police and fire departments declined to do so.
Yeah, of course the fire department declined to do so.
In August 1949, so quite a few years later, George was able to persuade Oscar Hunter, a Washington, D.C. pathologist, to supervise a new search through the dirt at the house site. After a very thorough search, artifacts including a dictionary that had belonged to the children and some coins were found. Several small bone fragments were unearthed, determined to have been of human vertebrae. They were sent to Marshall T. Newman, a specialist at the Smithsonian Institution. They were confirmed to be lumbar vertebrae, all from the same person. Newman's report said, since the transverse recesses are fused, the age of this individual at death should have been 16 or 17 years.
Oh, you don't have to tell me about that. I don't know what a fused vertebrae mean.
The top limit of age should be about 22, since I don't know why I put this in here.
This is good.
Mumbo
good
jumbo. Anyway, basically the age of the vertebrae, something to do with like when it fuses together, it happens when you're around 22 or 23. But the oldest child who went missing or died in the fire would have been 14. So it not him.
Well, but this was 4 years after as well. So you know how you keep growing after you die.
After you burn.
So it would have been like an 18-year-old ghost.
Yeah. So apparently the bones showed no exposure to flame. So he agreed that it was very strange that those bones were the only ones found, since a wood fire of such short duration should have left full skeletons of all of the children behind. The report concluded that the vertebrae had instead most likely come from the dirt that had been bulldozed over the site.
Oh, it was a different body in that dirt? Yeah, don't worry about it. That's fine.
So they later concluded that it had come from a cemetery. Or Tinsley, our mate Tinsley.
Well, are you allowed to do that? You just be like, yeah, we need some dirt. We'll just get it from the cemetery.
Well, it says they could not explain why it had been taken from there. Or how they had come to be at the fire site. Again, 1945, it's a lawless country. With the end of official efforts to resolve the case, the Sodders did not give up hope. They had flyers printed up with pictures of the children, offering a $5,000 reward, which soon doubled. I think that's what I wanted to convert.
Yeah, I feel like that's a good one.
I didn't do it, though.
$10,948 feels like it's going to be a lot.
Yeah. So that was a reward for information that would have settled the case for even one of the children. In 1952, they put up a billboard at the side of the house and another along US Route 60 with the same information. Their efforts soon brought another reported sighting of the children after the fire. Ida Crutchfield a woman who ran a Charleston hotel, claimed to have seen the children approximately a week afterwards. She said in a statement, "I do not remember the exact date. The children come in around midnight with 2 men and 2 women, all of whom appeared to her to be of Italian extraction. When she attempted to speak with the children, one of the men looked at her in a hostile manner and began talking rapidly in Italian. She recalled that they left the hotel early the next morning. Investigators today do not, however, consider her story credible, as she had only first seen photos of the children 2 years after the fire, 5 years before she came forward."
It's a long time to hang on to something.
Yeah, but she might not have put 2 and 2 together at the time, but it had always remained in her memory because it was a strange interaction.
Yeah, okay.
And then being like, fuck, these kids are missing. I mean, to me, it seems credible, but who am I? I'm no profesh. George Sodder also followed up leads in person, traveling to areas from where tips had come. A woman in St. Louis claimed Martha was being held in a convent there. A bar patron in Texas claimed to have overheard 2 other people making incriminating statements about a fire that happened on Christmas Eve in West Virginia some years before. None of those proved significant. When George heard later that a relative of Jenny's in Florida had children that looked similar to his, the relative had to prove the children were his own before George was satisfied. I mean, you'd do some pretty crazy shit if you'd lost 5 of your children.
I guess, but it's pretty red hot for your cousin to be
like,
oh,
absolutely. Yeah. George also traveled to New York after seeing a girl in a magazine picture of young ballet dancers. He believed one of the girls to be his daughter, Betty, but repeated demands to see the girl himself were refused.
Wonder why.
Crazy George storming in. In 1967, Sodder went to the Houston area to investigate another tip. A woman there had written to the family saying that Louis Sodder had revealed his identity to her one night after having too much to drink. She believed that he and Maurice were both living in Texas somewhere. Sodder, or George, and his son-in-law, Grover. What a name. I like it.
This is George Jr. Wait, no, what?
No, so Papa George and his son-in-law, Grover.
Right. Okay.
Grover's his name. Were unable to speak with her. Police there were able to help them find the 2 men she had indicated, but they denied being the missing sons. Grover said years later that doubts about the denial lingered in George's mind for the rest of his life. Yeah, I can't imagine George being too satisfied with the 2 guys just being like, not it.
But also, I'm wondering why, why would the kids be hiding from the dad?
I think I've got a little bit of something on that.
Okay.
Leave it with me. I'm almost done. Hang tight. Another letter that they received that same year, brought the Sodders what they believed was the most credible evidence that at least Louis was still alive. One day, Jenny found in the mail a letter addressed to her, postmarked in Central City, Kentucky, with no return address. Inside was a picture of a young man around 30 with features strongly resembling Louis's, who would have been in his 30s if he had survived. On the back was written, Louis Sodder, I love Brother Frankie, I little boys, and then a bunch of numbers. I don't know what any of that means. And I looked online to see if I could find out what it meant, or if anyone had ever deciphered it, but I don't think anyone ever had.
Is it like a code?
Yeah.
Oh.
But doesn't fucking Reddit live for that shit? I don't know why someone hasn't tried to decode it. Weird. But I looked quite extensively to try and find it, and I couldn't find it, but maybe it is out there somewhere.
Does Reddit know about this?
Surely.
Yeah.
This is quite a famous case.
Okay.
You're like,
I have to break out the old code crackers.
The Sodders hired another private detective to go to Central City and look into the letter, but he never reported back to the Sodders, and they were unable to locate him afterwards. The picture nonetheless gave them hope, and they added it to the billboard and put an enlargement of it over their fireplace, which is pretty creepy if it's not Louis.
Yeah.
George died in 1969. Jenny and her surviving children, except for John, who never really talked about the night of the fire except to say that the family should accept it and get on with their lives, continued to seek answers to their questions about the missing children's fate. After George's death, Jenny stayed in the family home, putting up fencing around it and adding additional rooms. For the rest of her life, she wore black in mourning and tended the garden at the side of the former house. After her death in 1989, the family finally took the weathered, worn billboard down. The surviving Sodder children, joined by their own children, continued to publicise the case and investigate leads. They, along with older Fayetteville residents, have theorised that the Sicilian Mafia was trying to extort money from George Sodder, and the children may have been taken by someone who knew about the planned arson and said they would be safe if they left the house. They were possibly taken back to Italy. If the children had survived all those years and were aware that their parents and siblings had survived too, the family believes they may have avoided contact in order to keep them from harm.
That checks out. I thought it would have been like something really bad. Like
Yeah.
George was a dog and they wanted to get away from him. But that makes sense as well.
Yeah. I want to believe that George is a good man. They seem lovely.
He did give it a pretty red hot go too. Like he
Yeah.
wasn't just
Yeah, he was fucking looking. He wasn't just like, oh, they're gone.
Yeah.
I've got 4 more. It's fine.
I think if they were in America, they probably would have found them.
Yeah.
And also, I just like that it like how similar it is to The Godfather when he has to go back to Corleone when he
I've been meaning to rewatch The Godfather because I saw it so many years ago and I don't remember it at all.
I only saw it for the first time pretty recently.
Oh,
I'm like
really?
trying to make my way through the
Well, maybe
top
we should have
100
a movie
movie
marathon.
list. Yeah, we should. I'm trying to get through the top 100 because you haven't seen any movies.
Me?
No, I haven't.
You
I haven't
haven't?
seen anything.
Just Fast
Any
and
of
the
the
Furious
classics.
on repeat.
Well, yeah, that's pretty much it. I've got no time for other movies. 10 Fast and Furious movies to watch.
So as of 2015,
Okay, yeah. Sorry. You got me thinking
I'm so
about
close.
the Fast and Furious franchise. No coming
Fucking
down from there. I'm
Toretto.
pumped now.
yeah, just calm down. We can watch it after.
Yeah, I will.
As of 2015, Sylvia Sodder, the youngest in the family, is the only one still alive of the surviving children who were in the house on the night of the fire, which she says is her earliest memory. She still believes that her siblings survived that night and quietly assists with efforts to find them and publicize the case. The investigation and its findings attracted national attention, and the West Virginia legislature? You're just going to watch me struggle.
Give it one more crack.
Fuck you.
Yep, that's
Legislature?
Sure.
Legislature.
First try.
Fucking hell. I'm so sorry. Held 2 hearings on the case in 1950. Afterwards, however, Governor Oki L. Patterson and State Police Superintendent W.E. Burchett told the Sodders the case was hopeless and closed it at the state level. The FBI decided it had jurisdiction as a possible interstate kidnapping, but dropped the case after 2 years of following fruitless leads. And that is the mysterious disappearance of the Sodder children.
That was an emotional roller coaster.
What do you reckon?
Yeah, every time
I don't think they burn in the fire.
No, they definitely need to burn in the fire. You don't find you
As
have to
well,
find
like when Jenny went downstairs after the phone call and noticed that one of the children was asleep on the couch and she just assumed the other kids had gone up to bed. The kids could have been long gone by then. So who fucking knows?
I have a really bad tendency to, as soon as I hear a theory, completely believe it.
I'm the same.
Well, like I get an immediate bias where I hear something, I'm like, that's definitely it. So you could have told me like anything crazy happened, but because that's what I'd heard, I'd be pumped about it. But I really think that the Italian one, any story that has anything to do with the mafia, I'm really pumped up about as well. So it's like really ticking a lot of boxes for me. So I'm all in on the Italy theory.
Yeah. See, mafia murders and shit don't really interest me that much because there's no like, it's just organized crime. Like there's no craziness behind it.
Do you know how crazy organized crime is?
I know it's crazy, but there's no like someone just like snapped and fucking killed their 3 children out of nowhere.
Right, you want a
I want
psychopath.
that. Yeah, I want a psychopath.
You want someone who's deranged.
Yeah.
I kind of like the organized crime, probably more so. Like, because anybody can be a crazy person. Like, being a psychopath isn't hard. But do you know how hard it is to organize crime? Crime is so hard when it's unorganized. Do you have any idea how it is to organize it?
I know. And it just seems so
Organizing
tiring.
anything is crazy. But it's like, it's the cool version of organizing things. Because you organize stuff in regular life. You're just like some loser, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, let's go to this party this person organized. Just we don't hurt their feelings. But if someone's organizing crime, it's like bring in the badass to organization.
Yeah. I do find it interesting, and I've always been quite fascinated with that world. Like, it'd be fun to be like a badass fucking drug lord and just be like, no one can fucking touch me. Like, imagine how fucking rad it would have been to be Pablo Escobar.
The guy burnt $2 million just to keep his daughter warm one night. Just like, that is insane.
Imagine having that much power. And, like, he was obviously still a pretty decent guy, despite the fact he killed a lot of people. But, like, he did a lot of good things.
He helped a lot of more people than most people have.
Exactly.
Like,
he also killed a lot more people than most people have.
Well, speak for yourself.
But he also helped some people. He gave back, you know?
Yeah. He did. Yeah, he did murder a few people.
Yeah.
Just a couple.
I'm not going to say he made his wrongs right. But anyway, it would have been fun to be Pablo Escobar.
But anyway, you want a psychopath, don't you?
I want a psychopath, yeah. But, I mean, aspects of the mafia and organised crime do interest me. Like, I'm watching, Animal Kingdom, that show.
Yes.
So it was an Australian movie, and then the US took it and made a TV show out of it, and it's really good. So that I do really enjoy. Because you've got to be so organised.
That's what I'm saying. I love
I love the Japanese guy.
I hope it was just one guy.
In my head, like, that guy was just an organisational wizard. And he had everything down to the T, and it worked perfectly.
And he would have been like a mentalist as well, like really get inside the head of everybody who's... I mean, I doubt he would have like precedented how much the Japanese police were going to throw into the investigation.
And still not catch him.
But that's it. It held out. Like, his plans had scalability. Yeah. Like, he was like, yep, could work for 10 cops investigating it. Could work for 100,000. 170,000 police officers.
That's
and he's
ludicrous.
Just like,
he's just sitting back on his fucking stacks of cash, laughing.
Sitting back on all of his yen.
Yeah, I like that guy.
Me too.
Come forward. Write a book, please.
Please.
How you got away with...
Statute of limitations is over. You're all good.
You're all good. I'm not condoning his behaviour.
I am. What? Who? Okay. Here's... I'm not going to say this about many of the crimes on the podcast. I do condone his behaviour. Because everybody got what they wanted. He's fine. Nobody got hurt.
Yeah.
All of the employees still got their bonuses. Kept the police in a job for ages. 170. They gave 170,000 jobs, basically.
Look, I'm not going to condone his behaviour because he still committed a crime. But of the crimes that he could have committed, that one's pretty good.
Best case scenario.
Best case scenario, absolutely. And I mean, this one kind of is too, my one.
It's not too bad.
If the children just went and lived life in Italy or whatever.
And it also means they got saved from the mafia. Pretty good. I think they would have to be alive because they're just like, you wouldn't make such an effort if they weren't going to be kept alive. Like, you would still just find the bodies or something.
The bones would fucking be there.
Yeah, the bones would be somewhere.
At least from one of the children, like, you'd find, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
From all 5 children, the bones weren't there. But the fucking toaster was still intact? Come on.
The old Maurice is really throwing a spanner in the works though, because I wonder if he was just coincidence that like he's an idiot and he worked in the same town, or and they were just like, as a side note, the guys who stole the kids would be like, watch what Maurice does when this happens. He's gonna.
Who's Maurice?
Is it Maurice, the fire captain? The can't drive a fire truck.
Maurice is one of the kids.
No,
Morris.
Maurice.
It's Morris.
What was the son-in-law's name? Grover.
What
are these old? These are old-timey names.
I don't even think I've ever heard the name Grover.
It's a dog's name.
Yeah.
Perfect dog's name.
It is a good dog's
Here's
name.
my other question. Well, not my other. Here's a question I've got for you. How do you get your name to be 2 letters and then a last name?
I think you have to be like a government official.
No, because CC Tinsley had it, and then the other guy was, I think, in the police. Was he W.E.?
Yeah, there's a few. W.E.
I want to say W.E. Anderson, but I think that's the
No,
guy
it's
who
like
wrote
started
Biggles.
with B. Brotchett or something. Burchett.
W.B. Burchett?
W.E. Burchett.
Yeah. I think it has to be one that rolls off the tongue, the both of those. Like,
Mm.
you have some hard... Like,
You could be L.E.
no,
Hamilton.
that really works.
It doesn't work.
What are you? IDR?
I.E.D. Lewis.
That's a bomb. Do you
You've
know
got
any-
an old-timey middle name. Edmund.
It's not like cool with 2 letters in the last name anyway.
Yeah.
J.K. Rowling, great name for it.
Yeah, maybe let's look into that.
All right.
To why and how.
So yeah, you get it. So
I know with serial killers, a lot of the time, you know how like they'll use their middle names? Like, I almost said John C. Reilly. He's not a serial killer. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
John Wayne Gacy. Because otherwise it'll fuck up all the John Gacy's that are out there. Do you know what I mean? So if you throw them
Did he choose that though, or was this...
No, I think that's just what's chosen for them.
Right.
Or what they decide to go with when...
But what, Ted Bundy, you just got his name?
Yeah, I don't
no
know
one
about
else
Ted
is called
Bundy.
Ted Bundy.
No one's
that's
called
why.
Ted Bundy. Maybe it's if their names are quite common. I don't know. I can't actually think of any other serial killers, but there's quite a few that they use.
I'm on a list of 20 next week.
All right, great. And I want you to find out how you get 2 initials in your last name.
Yes. Yep. That was the other thing we're going to try. I got to get some briefs.
You got to get some briefs. Yeah, you got quite a bit of homework this week.
Yeah. I mean, buying underpants isn't too bad, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'll come with you. I need to go to the shops.
Sure. Why not?
Let's go shopping.
You can get some lady briefs.
Yeah. I can get some men's briefs.
Do whatever you like.
I will. All right, well, probably a good place to round it up. I think Puss wants to get out again.
Yeah. She's made up her mind to
She's
not make
being-
up her mind again.
Being a very fussy bitch this evening.
Just for a change.
Follow us on Instagram, Chains of Mystery Podcast. And if you want to get in touch with us, you can slip into our DMs there or email us at chainsofmystery@gmail.com. Cheers.
Cheers.